Let's also mention that he does have a little bit of success, and it is going to get him some more TV time. I mean, I know nobody loved Isaac Yankem, and nobody really loved the fake Diesel character, but we do have some glimmers of hope here. I mean, he's going to get the team with Rick Bogner as the fake Razor Ramon and work against real talented teams like Owen Hart and Davey Boy Smith. It's not necessarily enough to that was a pay-per-view match, by the way. But I know long term nobody had any confidence in this, but as you've often said, you got to keep your jersey, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, and keep plugging away, keep maximizing those minutes, and I think Glenn always did that. He was smart enough to know that these great opportunities didn't grow on trees, and he's going to take advantage, and he's going to pack up his apples and move on. And I just said a lot of guys would not have put the time and the emotion into their new gimmick like Glenn did, and that's why he succeeded. He never quit.
Well, these gimmicks only last about 4 months. I think the 97 Royal Rumble is maybe their last big swan song on TV. But it comes down to where the fake Diesel, man, he's one of the last few folks in the ring there at the Royal Rumble. But once it's all said and done, where we're done with Diesel and Razor, he goes back to Memphis for a few more months. He's still using the fake Diesel character, and they even have him reprise his early Memphis Doomsday gimmick. Meanwhile, on TV, Paul Bearer starts teasing that he's got a deep, dark secret about the Undertaker's past. So remember now, fake Diesel's finishing up, we'll call it late January. And then post WrestleMania, we start to hear from Paul Bearer that he's got this deep, dark secret about the
Correct.
Undertaker. And this might actually be one of the best builds for a character's debut in WWF history. And what an intricate backstory that Bruce Pritchard really took a lot of pride in. What'd you think of the backstory and the debut of Kane?
I liked it. I thought it was good. I thought Bruce and everybody involved in the creative did an outstanding job. Because at the end of the day, how I determined that if they did an outstanding job or not was, did we get results? And I think nobody can argue the fact that Glenn successfully, uh, you know, successfully pulled that off. And I thought that he did.
Let's talk about how we get there. It's a 6 month build, I suppose. It starts in April of '97. At In Your House 14, Revenge of the Taker, the Undertaker launches a fireball into the face of Paul Bearer, who had previously had Mankind do the same to the Undertaker a few weeks prior. Well, on the May 12th edition of Monday Night Raw, Mankind introduces Bearer, who is attempting to reunite with Taker because of his newfound status as the champion. And as a reminder, Bearer was now a bad guy. He had turned on Taker the prior SummerSlam. And we've seen a lot of online video of Jim Cornette and Tom Pritchard being heavily involved in Kane's training, like the way they wanted him to act and work and just basically be like the Undertaker, the way they sit up and turn the head and the whole thing. Who else was responsible, do you think, for putting a lot of groundwork into the development of what this Kane persona would be?
Who did you mention?
Jim Cornette and Tom Pritchard.
Yeah, well, they were big time involved,
Yep.
no doubt. I'm trying to think. Bruce,
Oh, of course, yeah.
the obvious. Bruce had a big love affair with the Undertaker and the character and the development thereof. So Bruce should get a lot of credit for the success of that.
The June 30th Raw is where we get the big reveal. Paul Bearer is going to reveal that the Undertaker's long lost brother Kane was coming to the WWF to challenge him. And of course, in sharing this news, Paul Bearer discloses that the Undertaker had started a fire at his family's funeral home, in effect, murdering his whole family. And Bearer starts yelling, "He's alive! Kane is alive!" This is some of Paul's best character work he ever did. And we should mention, and a lot of people have put this together over the years, way back when at Survivor Series 1990, when The Undertaker first debuts in the World Wrestling Federation, he was billed as Kane the Undertaker. And it only lasted a few weeks, and then he was just The Undertaker. But here Kane is, The Undertaker is thinking he's been long dead from this accidental fire that he set, burning down the funeral home. And I guess his brother, he's been told, has been left physically and mentally scarred. And the Undertaker is going to claim that Kane was the pyromaniac. He was the one who started the fire. What do you think of this backstory? That
I needed to get into it a little bit. I
yes,
needed to experience it a little bit. I wasn't turned off by it, but I wasn't sure how successful it was going to be, and how successful it was going to be was record setting.
it's going to be really impressive what they're able to put together here. And Glenn would say this: the whole Kane thing came about when Vader got arrested in Kuwait. They had that deal where Leon roughed up the talk show host and literally got arrested in Kuwaiti jail, and they needed someone to work with the Undertaker. The thought was, okay, we'll hot shot this deal. We needed an angle. Well, Glenn can do it. He basically matches up physically with Taker. What's the storyline? I don't know if it was Bruce or Vince that initially came up with the thought of, well, he could come back under a mask as the brother who got burned in the fire. Well, Vince liked it so much, he says, why are we going to waste this on a one-time match when we can actually turn this into a long-term angle? I'm down in Memphis when all this stuff is happening, and I get a call, I think from Cornette, or it might have been Bruce. I don't remember exactly who. And they run the thing by me. Hey, you're going to be working with Mark. And this is the guy who really got him noticed originally. So the idea that he gets to come in and work a long time program with the Undertaker, I mean, this has to just be, this is the news everybody would be hoping for, no?
Hell yeah. Why wouldn't it be? How could you ask for anything better if you're Glenn Jacobs?
Yeah.
You're going to get a chance to dance with the big guy. And now it's up to you to deliver. And Kane always delivered. And he delivered enough that he made Undertaker happy. And so Undertaker kept looking for more ways to work with Glenn. And that was nothing but good news for Glenn and the fans, because it was a new story. It got the Undertaker involved in a new character. It was just great stuff. Good timing. It was just really good stuff.
What's interesting to me too is because we've talked about this before, and Bruce really has hammered it on his podcast, Something to Wrestle, that if the guy really believes in the character, he can make it work. But when he half asses it, it almost never works. But a guy who's really committed to it, he can make it work. And I think the great example in that is The Undertaker. When you really think about, okay, he's got these supernatural powers and he's dead, but he's not dead. And he can summon thunder and lightning and he can just float in the air. And okay, some of this stuff is a little silly. Like, what are we doing? But on the other hand, you ask yourself, hey, if anybody else had been tasked with doing the Undertaker character, would it have lasted 2 years, 2 months, 2 weeks? I mean, certainly not more than 2 decades. The
No.
Undertaker was committed to that character. Therefore, it was successful and one of the most iconic characters in wrestling history. And you could suspend your disbelief on some of the silliness because he was so good and so committed. Well, I want to ask you sort of the same thing. Could you, even if you tried, imagine anybody else portraying Kane? Because I can't.
No way in hell. No
Yeah.
way in hell. Kane was, it's that's great casting. It's great booking, in other words.
Yes.
Uh, and Glenn always, like I said earlier, he delivered. Every Mickey Mouse bullshit character that he was put in, he made work to some degree. To some degree. So, but he was the Glenn Jacobs was the perfect choice to be involved with the Undertaker in a variety of ways. And one of the reasons that worked was because Taker had such respect and he believed that Glenn was the guy. And so when that happens, your chances of being successful are greatly enhanced. Like Bruce said, if a man or a woman truly believes in their TV persona, they can make things work. Things that we didn't see, things that we didn't think were going to happen. So I just, you got to give credit to Glenn for making it happen, but you also got to give maybe even more credit to Taker because Taker made sure it happened, and he had that much stroke and clout credibility, etc., to take it all the way, of which he did.